You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Later.
KFI Mo Kelly live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app as Wellness Wednesdays. It's time now to talk to Claudine Cooper. Go to ClaudineCooper.com, of course, to find out more about her. But it's good to see you, Claudine. You're back from Las Vegas. What were you doing in Sin City?
Oh, I was in Sin City and I was sinning. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, well, I was sinning. I was eating too much. And, we actually went to Vegas on a whim to renew my husband and I, to renew our wedding vows.
And you've been married for how many years now?
21.
Was this on a whim or you planned this out?
Oh, no, I didn't really plan this out very well because I wanted it to be as spontaneous as possible. I remember when we first started dating, my husband was like, you want to have a big wedding? I was like, I have a big family. It's like, it's only right, blah, blah, blah. He's like, shoot, I would just go to the justice of the peace or something. It doesn't even have to be a big thing. And I have been thinking over time, like, it would be nice to do something, but neither of us wants to do another big thing. Mo? Did you guys do a big thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I was told by a number of my male friends that weddings are for the bride. Mm-hmm. They're not for the groom.
Right.
It's not about you.
True.
You serve a purpose, but you're not the reason.
Well,
yeah. So, I showed up and I stood at the appointed... the chosen place. Yeah. And I was told what to say, when to say it. I did my job.
You did.
But the whole wedding itself was about her. From the food to the decorations to the time to the pictures, all of that had nothing to do with me. Now, I participated.
Of course you did.
But it wasn't about me.
Well, and this is the thing, right? Over time, I've kind of gotten away from wanting to do anything big where you have to do all this planning and there's stress and all this stuff. And it's like at the end of the day, I was like, let's do something chill if we're going to, renew our vows. But we went to Walgreens. You see this ring? I'm wearing this ring. And picked up a couple rings and went into the chapel and have a couple friends who are in Vegas. We just said, hey, meet us here. Just so happened those friends were the original bridesmaid and best man at our wedding.
Really?
Yep. As luck would have it, they're both in Vegas that weekend. And so it just worked out, Yeah.
Now, when you think of the past 21 years, how have you changed as individuals and how have you changed as a couple? Because I know the person in my 20s is not the person that I am now.
Well, nobody is. You would hope that everyone evolves and changes and everything. But one thing that has remained consistent, I was actually just talking about this, is that both my husband and I love exercise. We love to work out. And so I think that having a partner who is also very passionate about movement and about healthy living, it truly enhances your relationship. And although two people are going to change the way they, view the world, or they're going to change the way they parent or whatever, you still have to have a consistent through line, right? And for us, because we're both very committed to two things, our faith and our fitness, those things kind of have remained steadfast and have been the connecting factor.
Okay, I got to ask, did you all work out together while you were out in Vegas?
Mo, it was 100 degrees. I was like,
they got stuff inside.
Yeah, no, we didn't actually work out, but we take the stairs in the airport in LAX and at the Vegas airport. We did a lot of walking, and I do want to say this to people who are listening: if you overthink working out and you maybe just don't want to get into the gym, walking is an amazing exercise. So Mo is raising his hand. So tell us, Mo.
Well, I do at least an hour on the treadmill every single day. And it's like, Mo, an hour? Yeah. And I'm watching TV. So it's mindless exercise.
Yep.
And I get in, I don't know, maybe 4 miles or so.
Wow, that's amazing.
And it's an easy way to get, I would say, low grade cardio, but I'm always moving. And I ran into Mark Ronner the other day, and he saw me. We have bathrooms all around this building.
Yes.
Some are much further in location than some others that are closer. And he noticed I was coming from the one way over there. And I was explaining to him, it's like, look, I'm just getting my extra steps. And in between segments, I'll walk around the studio, go upstairs and walk around and come around. Because for me, any motion and movement is good motion and movement.
And that's what I'm saying. A workout doesn't have to be specifically designated to the gym or to a class or a Pilates studio. A workout can simply be walking around Las Vegas in 101 degree weather.
Well, hopefully you don't fall out from heat stroke.
I mean, I have to be honest with you, since we've been having this gloomy weather here in LA, I was like, this is kind of nice, huh? And the friends who are in Vegas were like, this is not kind of nice. So I say that to say there's a lot of different ways we can stay active without having to necessarily show up at a gym. And one of those ways, and I've been observing this at my gym, is that we can park further away. Have you ever noticed people are going to the gym fighting for the closest parking spot?
I don't, and you're in my life in that regard.
Yeah.
Whenever I go to a mall or any place, I am just fine with parking far away. If I'm not escorting my mother somewhere who needs to be right next to the curb, I am fine with parking at the back and walking all the way up, as opposed to doing laps for 15 minutes trying to find the prime parking space.
Again, if you have somebody who has limited abilities, that's a whole nother conversation, right? But for an able-bodied person to be searching for the nearest spot, you're robbing yourself of the opportunity to add more steps to your day. I have a little time to tell a quick story?
Yep.
Okay. So many years ago, when I had just had my child, I don't know how old she was, but anyways, one of my friends was asking, could we work out together? But I knew at the time she wasn't of the right, I shouldn't say right. She wasn't in her best shape. So I knew that if she worked out with me, it might feel intimidating, because anyone who knows me knows I go hard. And definitely.
Yes, you do.
Definitely 20 years ago, I was going much harder than I am today. But I say that to say, when she asked me if she could work out with me, my advice to her was, start walking first. Get your endurance up and then come see me. Once your endurance is up, you'll be ready to do these boot camp style workouts, especially back then. So she started walking. She started walking 7 days a week for 1 hour a day. Going outside, simply walking around Inglewood, right? She used to use the Forum as a place where she would walk.
A lot of people did.
Yes. Let me tell you, in 4 weeks of her committing to every day, 1 hour a day in her neighborhood, walking laps around the Forum, she lost 30 pounds.
Amen.
Okay. At that point, I said, you're ready. And we started training together. Over the course of a year, she lost 90 pounds.
Start small.
That's all.
But be consistent.
And that's it.
It's Later with Mo Kelly. Claudine Cooper joins me in studio on this Wellness Wednesday. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
I'm joined in studio on this Wellness Wednesday by Claudine Cooper, ClaudineCooper.com. And Claudine is just back from Las Vegas, where she renewed her vows with her husband for 21 years. And we were talking, Claudine, during the break about the evolution of people, not only in marriage, but also in what we do. And I suspect, tell me if I'm wrong, I suspect that the person who comes to the gym, the person who comes to work out for a body transformation, a life transformation, is very different now than 20 years ago. And I'm quite sure you're a different instructor now than 20 years ago.
I'm definitely a different instructor. I was so hard on people when I was in my 20s. I was a boot camp style training coach and very unforgiving. I remember I used to tell people, this is a level 10 class. If you're not level 10, it's probably not for you. You know, things have changed so much. You know, we don't do that anymore.
Yeah, but there's also a change in people. I think kids today are soft. I think kids, if you look at them wrong, you raise your voice. And I'm talking about this from like a martial arts perspective. You know, the mommy wants to hug the kid on the mat. It's like, no, they're here to learn about dealing with high emotionally stressed situations and be able to defend themselves. Yeah, we're going to mix in some games, but you can't keep hugging your kid. It's okay if they cry. You know, they're going to get kicked. That's the part of it. The kids are soft. The parents are helicopter. I think there's a lot of that as well. well. Would you agree or disagree?
Oh, I am feeling so convicted right now. I'm probably a helicopter mom. My kids are probably soft, but I will say this, I was a boot camp coach. So you expect to come to boot camp and you expect the instructor to yell at you. I mean, is there a better way to say it?
Yes, boot camp, yeah.
Right. Now, what has happened over the years that I've noticed is that when you yell at people, when you come at them in an aggressive way, you don't attract them to you. You repel them from you. So if, for me, the goal is to have people in my class and retain people in my class, then I may have to make a shift. I may have to grow in a different direction. There isn't just one way of doing things. And I feel like in fitness, I've been fortunate to have a career that has spanned 3 decades. I've seen how coaching has evolved from being unforgiving, hardcore, foot on your neck, to now, hey, everybody's welcome. We want people to get the workout. If you need a modification, take it. Don't feel like you can't be here.
I think there's also something else. There is more of a business consideration. You don't want to push away customers.
True.
And you know that these customers have other options.
They do.
They can work out at home. They can get YouTube videos. They can get a personal trainer. They go to a different gym, or to just stay home altogether and not work out. I'm quite sure there's
that's actually probably the option that most people get into.
And I know we encountered that with my martial arts school, because there are other easier paths for people to take, and we can't yell at the kids or adults all the time, even though it may be well intentioned. But we can't do the same thing we used to.
I also think you have to leave room for yourself to be in situations where you're not necessarily an expert either, and you have to look at this. Like, I do this all the time. I try to get people to see things from different perspectives because I want to try to see things from a different perspective. I don't want it to always be because I'm such a strong boot camp trainer, then everyone should rise to my level. I want to also be able to see someone else's point of view. Hey, maybe you've had a surgery, or maybe you're like the young lady who was in my class today. Maybe you've had several surgeries because you had breast cancer. And so now you're here and you want to heal, you want to recover, but you want to do it in a way that's healthy. So you come to the gym, you take a group fitness class, and here comes the instructor looking all in shape, talking about put more weight on your bar, put more. So now you feel like, and she actually did say to me today, hey, I don't know if this is the class for me. And I assured her it is. You can do as little weight as you want or as much weight as I'm doing. I've been teaching this class for a very long time. I do a lot of weight. Now, if it's your first day, chances are you might want to start small, right?
I imagine that it can be very intimidating in any of these environments. And hopefully with growth and maturity, we're more aware of that. I know, and my only reference point really is martial arts. It's intimidating for some people to step on the mat and not wear shoes. Maybe they're self-conscious of how their feet look, or working in martial arts. Maybe they're self-conscious of sweating and working in close proximity with someone else. Those are the things that I had to learn over the course of years. Or if you're an adult, when was the last time that you had your feet go over your head because we're doing rolling and, you're putting people in
childlike positions.
Yes.
Really.
Yes. And they're putting a trust in you, and they haven't developed that rapport and relationship with you. Those are things that I had to learn. I don't know if that's similar for you and what you do.
I will say that I do feel like there is an intimidation factor anytime you enter a gym. Right. It's for many people. And I do love the gym, but I do see how it could be intimidating as well. They brought in all new equipment to Iconics where I work, and it was even intimidating for me. Think about it. A lot of the equipment I've used is probably equipment from the 1900s, as my kids would say, right? And so when they bring in the new weighted equipment, I'm looking at it like, what the hell? I don't know how to use this stuff. However, I am well versed in the gym, so I know how to go ask someone who does know and ask them to train me. So I took up a few sessions with a trainer so that I could learn the new machines.
You are better than me, because back when I would go to the gym, a formal gym, if there was a machine I didn't know, or how to figure out the buttons and everything, the menu, I just wouldn't use it, because I was not going to embarrass myself looking like I didn't know what I was doing. Get on the treadmill. It's like, no, I remember I get on the treadmill. It's like, I can't get this thing to work. I can't get the treadmill to actually start moving.
I'm telling you, this new age equipment, you got to come by the gym, Mo, because it'll take a little bit of time to learn the stuff before you can really get a good workout. And that's a fact.
All right. You told us about Iconics, which is in Inglewood.
Yes.
You always have to tell us about your online workout and your in-person free community workout.
Both the free workouts are still going. We've got Friday morning strength training on Zoom. That link you can find at ClaudineCooper.com. And then on Saturday morning, it's outside, open to the public, modifications welcome, all levels welcome. And it is on basically kind of Century and Prairie in Inglewood. It's just an outdoor area in the Hollywood Park.
But it's enclosed. You're not like on the street.
I mean, you're not on the street. Absolutely not. But when you go over there, you see that there's a whole new development. So you would be able to kind of tell that, there's things going on in there. Farmers market, free workout, 9:00 on Saturday morning. And it's every Saturday, actually. So
when you say everyone is welcome, you do not exaggerate. I'm talking from 6 to 60.
Yes.
All ethnicities, all stations in life, all different economic backgrounds.
Absolutely.
It was developed.
Well, speaking of economic backgrounds, the reason I developed this workout program was simply because I wanted to serve people who may not be able to afford a gym membership. So here we are 10 years later with a free workout that anyone can come to.
And if you go and you give Claudine my name, get a free workout.
Oh, look at that.
Discount.
Oh, my goodness, $3.99.
Claudine, it's always great to see you. Congratulations on 21 years and your renewing of your vows.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. By the way, we found a vegan buffet in Vegas.
Really?
Yes, and ate way too much. So we did a little sinning in Las Vegas.
So how is my man, your husband? Haven't seen him in a minute.
Oh, he's doing good. He overate, which makes me happy because he's usually so disciplined.
You got to bring him by again so he can say hello.
Absolutely.
It's Later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Saw this in the LA Times. A ranking of the top 10 places to retire here in California. And then the question is, would you choose any of them? And these 10 places were ranked and prioritized relative to 4 different factors. Climate, the number of days of extreme heat expected per year based on projections from 2035 to 2064. Health and wellness, a health index combining dozens of factors. Air quality, access to transportation, proportion of adults with health insurance. Recreation, the proportion of residents who have a park, beach, or open space greater than 1 acre within a half mile of their home. And affordability, typical home prices and rental costs in the city. Those are the factors that they use to generate this list of the top 10 cities to retire in here in California. Coming in at number 10. Belmont, San Mateo County. Number 9. Emeryville, that's up north in Alameda County. Number 8. Hey, Stefan, have you ever heard of Grass Valley?
No.
It supposedly is in California, but it's in Nevada County.
So how is it California?
Well, look, I didn't know there was a Nevada county in California to begin with.
That's new to me.
But it's called Grass Valley.
Wow.
Number 7. Crescent City, Del Norte County. I've heard of Crescent City. None of these places I'd like to retire in. If I'm going to retire, I'm probably going to leave California and go somewhere else. Number 6. Fair Oaks, which is in Sacramento County. Notice no Orange County, no Los Angeles County so far. I'm not going to retire Sacramento adjacent. Come on. All right. Number 5. Signal Hill in Los Angeles County. That's strange because Signal Hill is not exactly affordable for the most part. It's pretty damn expensive, but it came on at number 5. Number 4. Big Bear Lake of San Bernardino County. And if you're just tuning in, this is the top 10 places to retire in California. And would you live here? Again, it was across 4 different criteria: climate, health and wellness, recreation, and affordability. Big Bear Lake comes in at number 4. Number 3. Benicia Solano County. I've never heard of these places. I've lived in California all my life. I've never heard of these places. The county, yes, with the exception of Nevada County. The city, no. Benicia? Like Benicia del Toro? I don't know. I've never heard of it.
That sounds like someone's name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, most cities are used to never.
Well,
that's number 3. And number 2 and number 1 are tied. So there's a double number 1. So number 1 and number 2, they are tied for the best places to retire in the state of California, according to these 4 criteria. Eureka, heard of Eureka, and also Arcata. Have you heard of Arcata? Arcata in Humboldt County. I've heard of Humboldt County. All these strange remote cities that must be desolate, must be remote, not close to any Whole Foods or anything that I want to live around. It's like living off the grid.
It sounds like the best place to retire to grow weed.
Yeah, but I'm not into that, so it's not going to be as appealing to me.
But in general, they're all, like you said, they sound like they're all in the middle of nowhere, which happen to be in California.
All of these,
most of them.
Just looking at some of the descriptions, they're all far away from big cities. What that means to me is, yes, it's probably idyllic. It's probably lower in crime. All that's great. But day-to-day life, when I need to go to the grocery store or I need to get this, that, and the other, to be a long way from a major urban center is not all that attractive for me. I've always been a big city guy. Always. I'm not going to live in LA my whole life. I don't think. I'm not planning to. But I still want to be near a major urban center. And Mark, when you were living in Washington, what area were you living?
I was right in Seattle.
Okay, you were in Seattle.
Yeah, in a neighborhood called Ballard. But Seattle is an urban metropolis. You see photos of picturesque places that you think, oh, I'd like to retire there someday. But no, there's nothing there. There's nothing to do. Also, though, it's cute, Mo, that you think we're going to get to retire.
Oh, no. This is all hypothetical.
Yeah, we're all going to work till we drop dead. That much is clear.
I'm pretty sure, given what I do, and when I say work, it may not be in a formal employer-employee environment. I'm quite sure I'll be consulting. I will do something with an entertainment focus as long as I can, because after a certain point, you're not going to have an actual job, not the way this, I'll say, labor economy is evolving.
Well, and people are trying to raise the retirement age. At the same time, our lifespans are shortening.
Social Security won't exist, probably.
People want to end that too. So the
That's
future,
what I'm saying. Yeah.
it's looking great.
I expect to work as long as I physically can. And the only upside is I'm not working in an industry where I have to use my hands or dependent upon me being physically able for the most part.
I think you would make an outstanding Walmart greeter because you've got the personality.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
I could do that. Look, if Joe Louis could do it for a casino, I'm quite sure I could do it for Walmart.
Which Joe Louis?
Boxer,
Okay.
heavyweight champion.
Well, there's the Joe Louis MMA fighter.
Oh, no.
The guy from Force 5.
No, I'm talking about
Okay.
one of the greatest heavyweight champions of all time.
Okay, I'm not better than Joe Louis either. I guess I could do that too.
No, but I'll be working as long as I can, if only because I don't want to be idle either. I'm not someone who envisions retirement as sitting in a chair and doing nothing.
Well, that whole scenario has changed. I mean, as you know, I grew up with my grandparents. They retired at a reasonable age, and they spent the last couple decades of their life playing golf, and I just don't see that happening with a ton of people anymore unless they're really comfortable. And mine weren't. They were lower working class kind of people.
Yeah, and we work in jobs, to your point, it doesn't lend itself to retirement. My sister just retired this year. She worked for the city of Los Angeles for 34 years. The idea of working for one company for 34 years, unless you're like a civil servant or a public servant.
Deep state, you mean?
Right. And be able to, retire before you're 60. Those days are gone for the most part.
We have these conversations at home a lot about how Americans have been suckered into thinking they should just work as much as they possibly can their whole lives and then drop dead. It's not an accident that the Scandinavian countries, which don't do that to people, are far, far happier in every study that's ever done.
But see, we are the exception, which is against the rule, because we get to do things which I think you find great joy in doing. I find great joy in doing this. I don't think I'm punching a clock. I don't feel as if I'm going to the steel mill every single day for 40 years.
No, we have to acknowledge the role that fortune has played in our lives. But, people who work, stevedores, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You can't do that into your 70s.
Yeah, I'm not here for the gold watch. I'm not here to work myself almost to death so I have 5 or 10 years of not punching a clock. No, I love doing this. I will do some form of this up until the end of my life, but it won't be because I just have to stay in an office environment or something. I will stay in entertainment or on the periphery for the rest of my life, but I don't know how long I'll have a formal job because the way the economy works, a lot of these jobs won't exist. I don't know if a radio host will exist in 15 years, or at least the way we conceive of it now, because of AI, because of syndication, because of automation. These jobs are just fewer and further in between.
Yeah, but an AI radio host couldn't taunt me about being half black or giving the finger in the car. That takes a real human being.
5 years away, Mark.
You think?
5 years away.
I can't wait.
Look, I was showing you about how 5 years ago AI could call up a barbershop and reserve an appointment. Who knows in this exponential growth of that industry what it may lead to. We already have AI music hosts. A talk radio host is not far behind.
I don't find you replaceable, Mo.
Well, your sarcasm is just not as good as it used to.
How dare you? How dare you?
KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And if you listen to this show with any regularity, you'll hear Mark Ronner and me go back and forth talking about our economy, talking about inflation, talking about the prices of things, the reasons why the rent is too damn high. And we can argue back and forth about what some of those factors may be. But I think far too often we blame politicians and government for things they really don't control, and we are being misled. Here's what I mean. Disneyland, absolutely love it. Disney Corporation, absolutely love it. But Disney is entertainment and usually is a reflection of the economy. When the economy is doing well, entertainment industry does well. But Disney, I think, is the prototype as far as capitalism. It's about making as much money as possible. We may love Disney, but they're in the business of making money. Yes, everything costs more, but no, it's not because of this government action or that government action. More often than not, companies are charging what they want to charge, and they'll see how much you are willing to pay. And this, what I'm getting ready to play for you, is proof positive of that.
It's been every parent's take for years now. Boy, this place is expensive. And today it got a little more expensive. Disney raised ticket prices at Disneyland today. Now the most expensive single day ticket tops $200 for the very first time. Overall, ticket prices are up between 5.9% and 6.5%. Here's the thing. The Consumer Price Index comes out tomorrow, and it's expected to show that inflation as of September was running at 2.3%, meaning at 6.5%, that's roughly 3 times the current rate of inflation.
3 times the current rate of inflation. There's inflation, multiply that by 3, and then you have the new Disney prices.
And if that seems a little, well, money grubbing, it's not a great look for the happiest place on earth. Make no mistake about that. And the price of a Macy's a Magic Key annual pass is also going to be going up by as much as $1,750. In some cases, that's going to be a 20% increase.
20% increase. Last I checked, the inflation rate was not 20%. Last I checked.
To be sure, Disneyland still draws crowds, and high ticket prices are one way to try to control that. So economically speaking, you can see that there's a little purpose to all of this. On top of that, Disney is spending billions on an expansion of Disneyland and new attractions.
Yes, they have bills they have to pay. They're trying to build. They're trying to expand. Yes, that's going to take money. But those are decisions made by the company. And get this, they're passing along those expenditures to you, the consumer. That's not inflation. That's a corporate decision.
So there's that as well. But keep this in mind. Disney's theme parks are wildly profitable.
What? Wildly profitable. Okay?
In the most recent fiscal quarter, they brought in $32.5 billion in revenue. That is up 16% from the year before.
Inflation up 2.4%. These price hikes more than triple that. Disneyland is not raising prices to keep up with inflation. They're raising prices and also expanding their profit margins.
And operating income was up 23%.
Operating income up 23%. They're not hurting.
To nearly $9 billion.
Oh, by the way, they're not broke. I don't care if you think they've gone woke.
To nearly $9 billion, meaning these things aren't losing money. They're drawing in billions of dollars, which means when you raise prices by this much, it doesn't seem so happy. It kind of seems greedy.
Oh, well, when they do this, did they say why, or did they just quietly raise them?
It's not so much quiet. We saw it coming. Disney fans are not going to react kindly to sneaking something like this onto them. And they do make the case that they are spending big bucks on the Disneyland expansion, which is a very big deal, not just for Anaheim, but for the entire Southland. And also there's new attractions, and Disneyland is not a cheap place to run. But still, if the theme park division is bringing in $9 billion in profit, it's kind of hard to make the case that we need to raise prices by 3 times the rate of inflation.
I think you should hear that again.
But still, if the theme park division is bringing in $9 billion in profit.
$9 billion in profit.
Well, that's not enough. Americans don't have a concept of the word enough. By the way, one of those earlier clips that you played from the same reporter, he justifies it somehow by implying that the higher prices keep the riffraff out because Disney gets crowded. What kind of Stockholm syndrome do you have to have as a journalist to even say something like that?
I can tell you, Mark, as someone who has taken his family to Disneyland, if I am willing to pay a higher price And the cost of that high price is keeping some quote unquote riffraff out. Damn it, riffraff be gone. Because what I don't want to do when I'm at Disneyland is have to deal with, two ignorant families fighting and having a scrapple that ends up in your news report because they're riffraff and they have no business being at Disneyland.
You saying that is one thing and it's totally legit, but a reporter volunteering that as a rationale for the price gouging is unacceptable.
Well, I will say this. Disney has, on various occasions, expressed a desire to thin out some of the attendance. Now, we can tinge it with riffraff, but that has been a desire. They want to thin out the attendance. And if it means that people are going to have to pay more, they're willing to do that.
And it's not just a thin out attendance for individuals here in California or in Florida. Let's not think that this is thinning out the crowds for people who are local to the area who want to come. These are places that attract people internationally. You cannot have a theme park that's too crowded for people who are coming in internationally and they can't go if everyone and their mama can go. You got to make it exclusive. Otherwise,
and their mama.
Why are you having the park? The park should be for those who can go. I'm sorry to sound elitist, but I'm a Disney elitist.
That's right. You can have everyone, just not everyone and their mama. Mama got to stay home.
Stay home.
I don't argue with any of that. What I'm arguing with is the reporter serving, at least
editorializing,
serving as the PR wing for the corporation. You don't do that.
I would say on balance, he had more negative commentary to offer than positive. He said that the corporation was being more greedy than worrying about profitability.
I caught that, but I always have a high sensitivity to reporters acting as handmaidens for corporate
carrying the water,
their corporate masters. I just find that so distasteful in journalism.
But I will say this is another example of corporations doing what corporations do. And sometimes we get so hung up on believing the narrative that everything costs so much more because of what's happening in Washington, D.C. or in Sacramento, when in actuality, no, it's just corporations being greedy. They have record profits. We're talking about the difference between their operating costs and the revenue that they're bringing in. They are making money, more money than ever before, not because they're trying to keep up with inflation. If they were, then the profits would be relatively similar. If they are raising their prices consistent with the rate of inflation. No, they're not doing that. They're just price gouging you because you're paying for the inflation and their greediness on top of it.
They're getting as much as they can right up to the point where you decide, nope, but they're pushing the line. And I sent you something to read over the weekend that covered really similar ground. It's not just Disney. It's almost everyone.
Yeah. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Critical thinkers wanted.
KFI
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live.